The Elements of Style by William Strunk. And here is spelling. The spelling of English words is not fixed and invariable. We have discussed that a bit. It's very dynamic. The language is like any other language is dynamic. It's not fixed, nor does it depend on any other authority than general agreement. So like the general lexicon. When you hear lexicon, it's like what's in general use amongst people in that arena. Whether it's English or the English-speaking world or the United States or across the world, whatever language, whatever, realm. Right now we're talking about English. So that's what he's talking about. So the practical objection to unaccepted and oversimplified spellings is the disfavor with which they are received by the reader. Again, it's all about the reader. They distract his attention and exhaust his patience. He reads the form though automatically without thought of its needless complexity. He reads the abbreviation though and mentally supplies the missing letters at the cost of a fraction of his attention. Yeah, the writer has defeated his own purpose. So, don't misspell words. They were misspelled in the past, or they were differently spelled in the past because that's how they were used in the past, but not now. Like THO, it like low Manhattan arming. That's a line from Walt Whitman's Drum Taps. In poems, it's different. A lot of misspelled words in poems to make sure that the rhymes fit and the flow and the tone and the timbre and all that stuff. But in general academic writing, don't misspell words. Try not to misspell words. So accidentally, advice, effect versus effect. And knowing what the words mean, obviously, very, very helpful. Believe, benefit, challenge, course, right? Not course like a class, but course like rough, right? Course, criticize, deceive, definite, describe, despise, to loathe, to hate, develop, disappoint, dissipate, just evaporate. Duel, it's a one-on-one sort of battle. Ecstasy, the ecstasy and the agony, right? The ecstasy and the agony, the greatness and the ugliness, or the beauty and the ugliness. Affect, embarrass, existence, fascinate, fury, like a fire. Formerly, previously, humorous, hypocrisy, immediately, imposter. A lot of people feel like imposters. I was talking to somebody today about imposter syndrome, and I think that I'm sure I'm going to have at least one video on this. I'm sure I'm going to have at least one podcast on this. Imposter syndrome is huge. It shows up everywhere. I'm sure actors, filmmakers, successful, programmers, people that won the lottery, people that even people that have earned it, that have truly earned it. A lot of people that I've been talking to a lot of folks in disciplines like computer science. I felt it a lot. I'm getting a little bit better overall through time and practice with websites and programming and this and that. That's sort of my new adventure, along with these obviously. But I feel it a lot, and it's just reminding yourself that you're not an imposter. You belong here, and just take small bites, inch by inch, and don't feel like an imposter. Just keep plugging away. And whether you're learning English, whether it's a new language and you're it's not your first language and you feel frazzled and you're like, is to really put your best foot forward and not feel like an imposter. So an imposter is someone that doesn't belong there. Someone that's pretending to be somebody else. Who's a greater man or a greater woman or a greater person. And that he doesn't belong there. So that's what an imposter is. But imposter syndrome is common, and I always encourage learners, no matter what grades are used to getting, no matter you could start today. You could start today and say, I want to be a little bit more disciplined. That I'm gonna write down my goals, and I'm I'm gonna learn more, and I'm gonna rewrite my essays, and I'm gonna be more patient with learning, and I'm gonna sit in the front 3 rows in class, and pay attention in class, and take a little bit more challenging classes, or be more be also be being more patient with yourself, being patient with knowing that you're still going to get things wrong. Everyone gets things wrong, but it's trying to, what do you prioritize? That's always the toughest question to ask yourself, because I think we delude ourselves, right? We're delusional at times, where we pretend that we prioritize this, but if you really looked at what we do all day long, we really prioritize that. So do you prioritize learning? Do you prioritize growth? Do you prioritize strengthening your brain like a muscle, etc.? So incidentally, latter as opposed to former. Like the former is the first thing I mentioned. The latter is the last thing I mentioned, or the second thing I mentioned. Lead, lose, not loose, lose. Marriage, mischief. Murmur, necessary. Occurred, opportunity. Parallel. Parallel versus perpendicular, right? Train tracks are parallel, right? 90-degree angles, which form like a street, forms a 90-degree angle with a wall. Those are perpendicular. It's a perpendicular angle. It forms a 90-degree angle. So Philip, playwright, preceding, right? Coming before. Prejudice, being a bigot. Principle. Okay, so principle, we're probably going to have a separate video on this as well. So principle is like the chief, or the main, or the central idea, the principal idea, right? Principal is also the main person in charge of the school, right? The principal, or the vice principal, or the assistant principal, etc. Principle is like something that you stand for. The principle of honesty, the principle of fair play. They're usually like sort of tenets that people can live by. Privilege, pursue, repetition, rhyme, rhythm, ridiculous, sacrilegious. There's some evidence in this word, sacrilegious. If something's sacrilegious, it means you're going against something that's sacred. So it's sacrilegious to, have a picnic on, Indian burial grounds. Sacrilegious. Seize, separate, shepherd, siege, similar, simile, a metaphor, but using like or as. To, too, tragedy, tries, undoubtedly, until, and villain. Let's look up sacrilegious. And look at the spelling also. Sacre, not sacred, sacre. And then it's not ligious. Like you would think that it would be similar to religion. Religion, right? It's different. It's sacre, right? Which is unlike many words, like sacrosanct or sacred. So it's sacre, and then le, which is funny because it's kind of like leg. Sacre, and then leg, and then IOUS. Tough to remember. But just, sort of slowly paying attention and trying to remember. Okay, so sacre, and then leg, and then IOUS. Involving or committing a sacrilegious act. Profane, blasphemous, impious, sinful, irreverent, irreligious, like not religious, unholy, or disrespectful. The disrespectful act of having a picnic on an Indian burial ground, etc. Anyways, yeah. So studying the spelling, parts of speech.
Sacrilegious.
You can even hear how the word is stated. Just doing a Google search, really helpful. Anyways, Elements of Style by William Strunk. This is it. Hopefully, it was helpful to go over the totality of the text of the book. And if you guys have any questions, any comments, please post below, the videos below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much.